Building with CrewAI feels like magic. You define roles, give them a goal, and suddenly you have a slew of autonomous agents working for you 24 cross 7. But here's the reality check. Every agent you add is now a new identity on your network. When agents start talking to each other, passing context, and delegating tasks, they create a lateral movement, which is a playground for attackers. For example, if your research agent gets hijacked because of a malicious website, it can trick your admin agent into leaking your production database keys. Today, we are covering the basics of security for CrewAI. Basically, how to secure agent to agent communication and implement proper role based implementation. The biggest strength of CrewAI is delegation. By default, agents can ask each other for help, but in a security context, this is a nightmare if it is not governed. Now imagine a junior research agent. Its job is to go to the internet and find out certain things. Now, because it interacts with external sources, there is a high probability or a high risk for indirect prompt injection. If that junior agent has the permissions to delegate tasks to a senior financial agent, it can social engineer some ways to leak sensitive data. The fix: granular delegation control. In your CrewAI setup, you should always put allow delegation equal to false for any agent that touches untrusted data. Only your manager or orchestrator should have the permission to delegate tasks to other agents. Next, now let's talk about context poisoning. When agent A passes on some results to agent B, it becomes a source of truth for the agent B. We need to treat agent to agent communication like internal API calls. Now that means validation. Never pass secrets in context. If an agent needs API key, it should reach out to secret manager tool. Never pass the key as a string in the task description or in the context. If one agent is compromised, the chain of thought log will expose everything to the attacker. The semantic firewall. Use a manager agent not just for productivity, but for security. The manager should act like a gatekeeper, validating that the output of the research agent doesn't contain malicious instructions before passing it to the writer. Now have a look at one of the implementations which I'm showing here. This is my file writer tool. Here I'm defining the steps to write files. Here I'm defining the list of agents which I'll have. The first agent is called the researcher. And if you see here, I have marked it as allow delegation as false. The second agent, which is the technical report writer. It will turn the raw data into clean report, but it cannot access the internet. Have a look at the strategy here as well. Again, the allow delegation is false. The strategy here is to prevent escalation. Here comes my most important agents. This is the manager agent. I call it as security manager. And here I have defined the allow delegation as true. Now let's look at the list of tasks which we have here. The research task over here is to search for 3 major vulnerabilities on a specific topic, which I'm going to pass when I run the main logic. The second step is to sanitize the task. Now here the agent is the manager and the context is the research task, which is coming over here. This manager is going to remove any string, code or system commands before delegating the context to the right task. And this right task is going to run the validation task which is provided by the manager and confirm that the file was saved. The final step is the assembling. This is the whole crew. So here I'm defining the agents, the task, the processes which have to be sequential, and the full output has to be true. Also note that there's a field called share crew which is false. This is meant for the privacy. Do not share the telemetry with CrewAI servers. And this is how I'm going to kick it off. In the world of IAM, we talk about least privilege. In CrewAI, we call it as tool gating. I'm again sharing my screen to show you how we define the tool gating. If you look at the researcher agent, the tool is the search tool, which we have defined here. It is going to use DuckDuckGo search run. Now, if we go to the writer agent, this is where our file writer tool will come into picture. So essentially, we don't give agents access to every tool. Your research agent only gets access to the search tool, which may be anything, DuckDuckGo, Google, anything. Your writer gets the file write tool. Now notice, your researcher shouldn't have access to write system tool. By isolating tools for specific tasks, you ensure that even if prompt injection succeeds in one of the agents, the blast radius is contained. An attacker can't use a research agent to write malicious files if that agent doesn't have the code to write to the disk. Agentic AI is the next frontier for DevSecOps. But as architects, we need to move away from build fast and fail fast, specifically when it comes to autonomous identities. To recap, disable delegations to untrusted agents, validate communications through manager gatekeepers, strictly enforce tool gating based on the agent's specific role. I've put together boilerplate code for explaining all the above context related to CrewAI security. You can find the link in the description. If you found this helpful, hit like and subscribe to Tiny Tech Talks by Amit for more on securing the future of AI. I'm Amit, and I'll see you in the next deep dive.